Well, hello, everybody. Hope you're all having a great day today. This is actually something new for me. This is my first ever YouTube live stream. So I'm busting the cherry or whatever you want to call it, I guess. Not that I'm probably going to get censored for saying that. But I wanted to do this because uh, it's a great platform, number one. But number two, I wanted to share some information that I think is very pertinent to a lot of people out there, especially those of you who are out there trying to lose weight, trying to get healthy. Uh, and it stems from not just one conversation. I had one recently, but stems from quite a few different conversations that I have with people who are so confused and in many cases overwhelmed over just how much they should be eating, how many calories they should be taking in, what their macros should look like, your carbs, proteins, fats, all that. And my goal is to try to simplify things because Lord knows if I don't simplify things for myself, things can get out of hand in a hurry. So if it works for me, I would hope it would work for other people to truly simplify things and really make the steps a little easier to follow, the information a little easier to digest, no pun intended, because let's face it, for a lot of people, they don't understand all that information that's out there because there is so much. If they can take it into more, again, no pun intended, bite-sized form, I think it would make people feel a lot more confident for themselves when it comes to deciding which path is the best way to go. So I like to call this, and this might be already out there somewhere, so I'm not going to claim credit for it or anything, but I like to call this the law of supply and demand, the health and fitness edition. And what I mean by that is when we factor in how much we need to be eating on a daily basis to reach our goals, whether it's to lose weight, gain weight, whatever it may be, we need to take into account several different factors. One of which is our physical activity level. And I'm talking about all aspects of life, whether you strength train like I do, or do a lot more cardio, or just have an active lifestyle where you're out and about, moving around and doing a lot of things and not sitting in a seat like I'm doing right now. That has to be taken into account. So, for example, if you are on a 1,500 calorie diet, let's say, that's going to work. That may work if you're somebody that's a little bit more sedentary, let's say, someone who sits at a desk for 8 hours a day and then comes home and maybe goes for a walk here and there, but spends more time maybe sitting on the couch watching Netflix. That's going to look a lot different than it is for somebody who's really active, somebody who, say, strength trains 3, 4, 5 times a week, includes cardio in that, maybe, does outdoor activities, hiking and sports and things of that nature. And what I mean by the law of supply and demand is the more you demand from your body, the more you ask of it. I lift 5, sometimes 6 days a week. I do cardio. I'm doing 75 hard right now. I'm about almost 3 weeks into it, or actually, I think even a little more than 3 weeks into the program. So I know that I have to have a little bit more, at least, even if I was trying to lose weight, which I'm not. But if I was, I would still have to have a little bit higher caloric intake because I'm demanding that much more of my body. I'm asking more of it. So in turn, if I'm going to demand more of my body is I'm going to need to supply my body with more of the nutrients and the whole foods and the healthy foods that it needs to have to be able to function on a daily basis. Now, we can talk about all the fancy terms like BMR, basal metabolic rate, and TDEE, thermodynamic energy expenditure. We can talk about all that stuff. Basically, all that is your bottom number. Consider your minimum number, and your TDEE is your max number. That's the number you're at if you don't want to gain or lose weight, if you want to stay exactly where you are. So I'm a big proponent of trying to stay in the middle, again, based on what your activity level is, how much weight you're trying to lose, for example, what your current health and fitness and experience level are. That's all going to play into that. But ultimately, I have, for example, I have clients of mine who before they started working with me were rather sedentary, weren't as physically active as they are now. Now they're incorporating strength training into their plans. Now they're incorporating even more cardio into their plans. So what they were eating before that isn't going to be enough now. And that's what we're talking about here. Now, I'm not saying that when you find that number for you, and people make this is a common mistake that you see a lot, where people get so fixated on the amount of calories they're burning on a daily basis that they feel like they can eat those calories back like they're free calories or something along those lines. And when in fact that's not the case. You never want to factor that into it. But when it comes to deciding where your caloric intake should be, you need to take all your physical activity into account, because the more you do, the more you need, the more your body needs. So I would never tell anybody, and I'll give you an example. I had a conversation with someone just the other day who was asking me if 12, and this is somebody I've been talking to a little bit off and on. So I have a general understanding of where this person's at, what they need, what they're trying to accomplish, and asked me if 1,200 calories was enough in order for her to continue losing weight like she has been. And I told her it can be, but you also have to figure into the fact that you're strength training now. You're doing that much more cardio. You're just more physically active overall than you were prior to starting your health and fitness journey. So could 1,200 be a good number? It's possible, but it's also possible that you're going to need more. Let's face it, folks, this is a bit of trial and error. Yes, there's the expertise that comes with being a health and fitness professional. We understand that. Certainly, a lot of people out there do their own homework, their own research, and they get a better understanding of where roughly they should be, but have to understand that the body needs what it needs. And if you're going to push it beyond what you had pushed it previously, you're going to need to give it more. And if you don't, and if you do that for a long enough time, if you don't give your body what it needs to do what you're demanding of it, if you need to supply if you're going to demand, that metabolism of yours is going to start slowing down to the point where it's going to be counterproductive. You think, well, I'm eating less, I'm working out more, I'm being more active, so in fact I should be losing. When in fact you may stop right there. You may plateau, or maybe even gain weight. Who knows? And let's face it, there's also the aspect of, if you're going to be much more physically active, you're going to get a bit more of an appetite. Spoke to someone today, a client of mine, who said, I worked out this morning. We met for lunch earlier today, and she was really hungry. And that tends to happen when you've started a physical fitness routine. It tends to boost up your appetite. And the good thing is that she's feeding it with healthy foods. So now her metabolism's starting to ramp up a little bit. And we're starting to get into that fat burn process, in the fat burn mode that we want it to. So I hope that simplifies things a little bit for you, clarifies things a little bit for you. But just look at it as simply as, the more you demand of your body, the more you need to supply your body with the whole foods and healthy foods and nutrients that it needs. Because if you take care of your body, it's going to take care of you, and you're going to be able to do more and more moving forward. I appreciate y'all watching and following. And like I said, this was fun. My first ever YouTube live feed or live chat, whatever you want to call it. I plan on doing more of these, doing them on maybe not necessarily a daily basis, but certainly a weekly basis, and just sharing some of my knowledge and really a lot of the mistakes that I've made over time. Feel free to reach out, drop a thought in the comment section, or find me on Facebook. Victor Fernandez 123 is my personal profile page. Fernandez Fit LLC is my business page. I've also got, it's Fernandez Fit LLC on Instagram as well. I have a podcast that you can find, Fit Family Foundations, that you can find on Apple and Spotify. You can also find it through my website, fernandezfit.com as well. Appreciate it, folks. Thanks very much. This was fun, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.